Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math.
I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math. And today, we're going to learn about naming polynomials. We're going to name each polynomial by degree and the number of terms. So if I was given this polynomial, 2p to the fourth plus p to the third, okay? Well, what we need to look at is the highest degree, okay? The highest degree is 4, right? Since the highest degree is a 4, we call this a quartic. So we have a quartic, all right, polynomial here. Now, how many parts are there separated, by the plus sign? We have one part here and then another part here. So there's 2 parts, meaning binomial. So we have a quartic binomial, okay? Quartic binomial, okay? -10a, okay? Just that. So we look at the highest degree right there above the a, right? The highest degree, our highest one there, and that's just a 1. We know there's like a little imaginary 1 up there, right? We never really write it, but it's really a to the first power. Since it's a to the first power, and that's the highest degree there, we call this polynomial a linear. It's a linear, and then we call it a monomial, meaning there's only one section, monomial. Kind of like monorail. Monomial, okay? So I always like to think like monorail meaning 1, mono meaning 1. A linear monomial is basically a to the first power, and the monomial meaning that 1. So right here, that's that linear part, okay? And then the whole part here brings the monomial. 2x squared. Well, the first thing I'm looking here, I'm looking at the highest degree. The highest degree is a 2. That tells me it's a quadratic. Tells me it's a quadratic. Now, there's only one part here. Since there's only one part here, one section, we call that a monomial. And there we have it. Our quadratic here comes from our second degree. And since we have just one part here, that's what we call our monomial. All right? So our final answer here is a quadratic monomial. -10k squared plus 7. What I'm first looking at is our highest degree, highest power, highest exponent, that's a 2. That tells me that this is a quadratic. It's a quadratic, okay? So that 2 right there is my clue to tell me it's a quadratic. Now I have 2 sections, 1, 2. These 2 sections tell me that it's a binomial. And there we have it. We have a final answer here. We have a quadratic binomial, bi meaning 2, right? So we have quadratic binomial. -5n to the fourth plus 10n minus 10. Okay? First thing I need to look at is my highest degree. My highest degree is a 4 right there. N to the fourth power, that's the highest degree. That tells me that this is a quartic. So it's a quartic. Now, I have 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. Those 3 sections tell me that this is a trinomial. Because there's 3 sections. We call that a trinomial. Tri meaning 3, like Triceratops, right? So, if you like dinosaurs. Okay? So, we have now a final answer of a quartic trinomial. -6a to the fourth plus 10a to the third. Okay? Well, we look at our highest degree. Highest degree, 4. Since the highest degree is 4, not the 3, right? The 3 is close. Close, but 4 is the highest. 4 there, that causes this to be called a quartic. Q-U-A-R-T-I-C. Quartic. Okay? Now, it's also broken up in how many terms? How many distinct terms? Sections, really. 2. We have 2 distinct sections here, so we call that a binomial. So now we have this polynomial, and it's called a quartic binomial. 6n, just a little 6n by itself there. Okay, we look at its highest degree. The highest degree there, right, is not really written. It's known in our head as a 1, right? So we have like an imaginary 1 that's up there. It's really 6n to the first power. That first power makes this linear. Call that linear. So that first power determines it's linear. Now, how many different terms do we have? Well, just one. We have one section right there. Okay, so that makes it a monomial. Monomial. Mono meaning 1, right? Like monorail. Okay, so now our final answer is a linear monomial. Simple little one. Ready? 1. So if I had to identify this 1, okay, we look at it. Is there a variable? No, there's no variable there. Well, you could say almost there is, right? And we're going to kind of like put a little dot, dot, dot. So let's say it's n, and it's n to the 0 power, because n to the 0 power is just 1. So that's kind of like we can think about that. So our highest degree is really n to the 0 power. And that makes us 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Fantastic. But when we have a 0 power as the highest degree, really, there's no n value. We call that a constant. And it's constant because, well, there's no really variable, right? So you can kind of think of it like that. I don't necessarily put that down. I think it can be confusing sometimes too. But when we just have a number, right, we can see that there's more for you counting down like the exponents. Like, well, if it's n to the first, what's n to the 0? And it's constant. Constant meaning that it's consistent, doesn't change. There's no variable that can change it. So it's a constant. And we have one term, one section. So that's a monomial. There we have it. Our final answer is a constant monomial. Negative 9n plus 10. So negative 9n plus 10. Well, the first thing I'm looking at is that n. That n is really to the first power, right? It has a degree of 1. That 1 helps me determine that this polynomial is linear. So it's linear. So that degree right there tells me it's linear. Then we have two terms, n to the first power and then just our constant there. So our two terms, two sections there, tell us this is a binomial. So I would finally classify this as a linear binomial. 5a squared minus 6a. Okay? Well, I was given 5a squared minus 6a. Well, I first want to look at the highest degree. Highest degree here is, well, a to the second power. That tells me that this is a quadratic. Okay, so that determines that part. So that second degree makes this a quadratic. Now I look at the number of terms. We have two terms here, really a to the second power and the a, right? So our two terms there really determine that. Okay, meaning a binomial. Because when we have two of them, it's a binomial. So our final answer here is a quadratic binomial. 8p to the fifth power minus 5p to the third plus 2p to the second minus 7. Okay? Well, we need to look at our highest degree. We have a lot of them. We have 3 to the second, but the highest degree, p to the fifth power, is the highest. And we call that a quintic. Q-U-I-N, make sure I'm spelling this right. T-I-C, a quintic. Okay, quintic. So that fifth power, quintic, fifth power, causes it to be called a quintic. And then we want to see, it's a quintic polynomial. So it's a quintic polynomial. And since we have, well, how many terms? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 terms connecting them all together. The way we write this now, once we get past 3, is this quintic polynomial. We just write with 4 terms. And there we have it. Okay? So the quintic polynomial with 4 terms. Pretty uneventful at the end. Okay? We have higher little words for quintic, for the fifth power and stuff, but from after that, it's called 4 terms. Okay? Negative 7n to the 7th power plus 7n to the 4th. Okay? Well, the first thing I need to look at is what's the highest degree there? And the highest degree is that n to the 7th power, okay? N to the 7th power. So the way we write this is actually just a 7th degree. We just call it the 7th degree. So that 7th power, there's no special term for it really, we just call it the 7th degree. But there's two sections now. Two sections, the number of terms here, so we call that binomial. So we would classify this polynomial as a 7th degree binomial. Negative 8n to the 4th plus 5n to the 3rd minus 2n to the 2nd minus 8n. Okay? Well, I need to look at my degrees. My highest degree is that 4. The highest degree being 4 lets me know that this is a quartic. Okay? So now I need to, a quartic polynomial, Okay? Quartic polynomial, because we have 4 terms. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 terms there. So we call it quartic polynomial with 4 terms. Now, it's only because we have 4 terms we'll say it's a quartic polynomial, okay? Because that polynomial here, really, that determines this part here. It says, hey, we have 4 terms. So the quartic is the 4th power, and then the number of terms, it's a polynomial with 4 terms. Normally, we would write there's 2, like a binomial or 1 monomial, but since we don't really have a term for that for 4 terms, we just call it a quartic for the exponent, highest degree, and a polynomial with 4 terms determines the rest of it. 9b to the 7th power plus 7b to the 6th plus 4b to the 3rd minus 1. Okay? But we look at our highest degree. Highest degree is 7. Right? So that 7 here tells me this is a 7th degree. Okay? It's a 7th degree. So now I need to see how many terms there are. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. 4 distinct terms there. Okay? 4 distinct terms. That tells me that this is a polynomial with 4 terms. And there we have it. We have our final answer. We have a 7th degree, highest degree polynomial with 4 distinct terms. 9x to the 2nd power plus 3x. Okay? Well, first I need to determine what the highest degree is. The highest degree is the 2nd power, so we call that a quadratic. Okay? Boom, right there. Now we have 2 terms. Okay? 2 terms tell me this is a binomial. And there we have it. We have our final answer combined together that this is a quadratic binomial. So if I was given this simple little polynomial, negative 6, okay, negative 6 by itself, well, there's no variable here. We can imagine maybe n to the 0 power, but there's really no variable. It's just a constant number. So since it's just a constant, we write the word constant. Constant really means there's no variable that can change. It's no matter what, it can be negative 6, right? No matter what value we plug in for n, because there is no n, okay? Or a variable, or whatever it is, okay? So it's a constant. Now there's one of them. There's one set together, so it's a constant monomial. And there we go. So we would classify this negative 6 as a constant monomial. Negative 10 k to the 4th plus k to the 2nd minus k. Okay? Well, I need to look at my highest degree. My highest degree here of all the variables is a 4. So that tells me that this is a quartic. Okay? Now, we look at how many terms there are. Well, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 terms. That tells us that this is also classified, the number of terms, as a trinomial. So we have a quartic, 4th power, quartic, trinomial, 3 sections, right? Triceratops, tricycle, the tries give you the 3, okay? 8a plus 1. So it's 8a plus 1. Well, first thing I look at my variable here with the highest degree. The highest degree is really just an imaginary 1 that's up there. But that lets me know that this is a linear polynomial. So it's linear, okay? So that 1 degree, first power, tells me that this is linear. Now we have 2 sections, 2 terms, 8a and then the 1. That tells me that this is a binomial. And there we have it. We have our final answer, a linear binomial. 9r to the 6th minus 8. Okay? 9r to the 6th minus 8. Well, highest degree here is a 6. It's r to the 6th power. Okay? So we don't really have a term for that, so we just call it a 6th degree. Not the 6th degree, but the 6th degree, okay? 6th degree. Now there's 2 terms, the 9r to the 6 and the 8 there. That tells us that this is a binomial. And there we have it. We have our 2 terms that let me know that this is a binomial, and our highest power, 6, to make this a 6th degree. 9n to the 5th minus 8n to the 3rd. So 9n to the 5th minus 8n to the 3rd. Well, we see the highest degree is a 5. The highest degree, so not the 3 and the 5, the highest degree is a 5. So that lets me know that this is a quintic. Q-U-I-N-T-I-C, quintic. Quintic. So the highest degree that lets us know this is a quintic. And then we have 2 terms there. Our 2 terms let me know that this is a binomial. Binomial meaning 2. So quintic, 5, binomial, the 2 terms there. So now our final answer combined together is a quintic binomial. 2n to the 5th. Okay? Just 2n to the 5th there. Well, our highest degree is just the 5, right? 5 is by itself, right? Highest degree 5. That tells me it's a quintic. A quintic. Now we have 1 term, really, the 2n to the 5th. That's 1 term, 1 section. That tells me this is a monomial. And there we have it. Final answer describing this as a quintic monomial. Negative 10x to the 5th. Okay? Well, our highest degree here is 1 little term right there. But our highest degree is a 5, right? The 5th power. That tells me this is a quintic. Quintic. All right, quintic polynomial. Now, how many terms are there? Well, there's 1 term, so it's a monomial. So there we have it. We have our final answer. It's a quintic polynomial, our classification. 4x minus 9x to the 2nd power plus 4x to the 3rd minus 5x to the 4th. Now be careful, okay? We look at our highest degree. Our highest degree is a 4, x to the 4th power, right, out of all of them. There's x to the 1st, x to the 2nd, x to the 3rd, x to the 4th. It's not always going to be the first one that's written. Be careful. So our highest degree is that 4. That tells me that this is a quartic. A quartic, not quadratic, a quartic, right? 4. So now I need to count how many terms there are, okay? Well, we have 1 distinct term here, another distinct, another distinct, another distinct term. So we have 4 distinct terms going together. So that tells us that this is a quartic polynomial with 4 terms. Once we get past 3, once we start with 4, we just say it's a polynomial with 4 terms. So now our final answer combined together is a quartic polynomial with 4 terms. 10 plus 8x. So 10 plus 8x. Well, we have 2 terms here, and our highest degree of the 2 terms is x to the 1st power. Okay? We don't always write it. It's not, or never really write it, but we know it's there. that first power tells me that this is a linear. It's linear, right? So linear polynomial. Well, how many terms now are there? Well, we have 2 terms. That tells me this is a binomial. So we have our combination of highest degree being linear, 2 terms being binomial. So our final answer is a linear binomial. -4 minus 2a squared plus 8a. We need to look at which one is our highest degree. Highest degree is a to the 2nd power. That's our highest degree, that 2. That tells me that this is a quadratic. We have a quadratic here. Our highest degree is a 2, making it a quadratic. Now, how many distinct terms do we have? Well, we have the -4, the minus 2a squared, and the 8a. We have 3 distinct terms. That tells me that this is a trinomial. Like tricycle, right? So our final answer combining the 2 is a quadratic trinomial. 4b to the 6th power plus 5b to the 5th plus b to the 4th. Okay? We have 4b to the 6th plus 5b to the 5th plus b to the 4th. Highest degree here is that 6. That 6 is my highest degree, higher than the 5 and the 4th. It's b to the 6th power. That tells me that this is a 6th degree. Okay? Now we need to determine the number of terms. Well, we have 1 term here, 2, 3. So there's 3 terms. It's a trinomial. And there we have it. Our 6th degree trinomial. Simple, little old -1. Well, -1 does not have a variable, okay? It's just a constant. So that's our term. It's a constant, meaning it doesn't change. There's no number you can plug in for a variable that changes it because there is no variable. Some people like to imagine there's n to the 0 power or x to the 0 power or some variable to the 0 power, but really there is a constant here, a constant. Now, how many sections are there? There's 1 section, 1 term, so it's a constant monomial. And there we have our classification, a constant monomial. 7n to the 5th plus 10n to the 4th minus 3n plus 10n to the 7th, okay? Well, I need to look at my highest degree, and again, it's not always written first. We see our parts here with the 5th degree, okay, 4, no, 5th is higher, first, no, 7th. That 7th degree is my highest degree out of all of them. So that 7th causes this to be called a 7th degree. 7th degree right there, okay? Now we need to see how many terms we have. Well, we have 1 term here, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 distinct terms. Our 4 distinct terms let us know that this is a polynomial with 4 terms. There's no special term there for 4 terms, right? Like a trinomial for 3, just with 4 terms. So this one here, our final answer, is a 7th degree polynomial with 4 terms. 4. 4 by itself. Well, we think about it, okay, what is 4? Is there a variable? No. Some people say there's like a variable to a 0 power. You can think of it like that. I have some of my videos, but it's just 4. It's a constant. So we have a constant there. It's by itself, right? There's no variable. It's a constant. Now, how many terms do we have? We have 1 term, just a 4. So it's a constant monomial. That 1 term causes it to be called a monomial. So together, 4 is classified as a constant monomial. 4r to the 6th power minus 3r squared minus 8r to the 4th. Okay? Well, to classify this, I first need to look at the highest degree. Highest degree, we have a 6th degree, 2nd degree, 4th degree. Highest degree is a 6, the highest exponent. So that's 6 there. Lets me know that this is a 6th degree. All right, 6th degree polynomial. So now I need to determine how many terms there are, how many separate terms. We have 1 term here, 2 terms, 3 terms. So that 3 makes it a trinomial. okay, a trinomial. So now we have this, the 4r to the 6th power minus 3r squared minus 8r to the 4th is classified as a 6th degree trinomial.
Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math. MinuteMathTutor.com.